Everyone in the house has been sick this week. My daughter's accidentally split my bottom lip. We're going to Perth in the second v third clash, undermanned and with injury concerns. All right, well, this is going to be interesting. Bringing in Bodie Ryan for his first game, which is always exciting. Max Ramsden and Sam Butler come back for Jack Scrimshaw, Finn McGuinness, and Cal Shadir. So wanting to stick to that second ruck style that we know that Ramsden will be able to bring. His Box Hill form has been very good, I will say. Sam Butler, the statless man, coming in for McGuinness. I don't mind that either. And Scrimshaw dropped is really interesting. The coaches are clearly seeing a lot that they are not enjoying. That's fair enough. They're allowed to see it that way. Quite a lot of the criticism, I suppose, and there's not a lot of criticism around the Hawks this year from Hawthorn fans. Granted, one of the things that has continuously befuddled those that I'm talking to a lot have been the selections, and these are clearly three. The adductor injury to Cal Shadir is unfortunate, but the other two being omitted. Scrimshaw, the biggest shock to McGuinness and probably closer to our best 23, to be perfectly honest with you. Bodie's averaging 21 disposals and can hopefully bring a little bit of drive as well, because Hardwick's going to be responsible either for Bolton if he's going to go from the midfield forward, even though I think that'll be more of an impy handoff, to be honest with you. But Isaiah Dudley's been in really good form, so Hardwick shutting him down. His ball use is not going to be as proactive, I don't think, as it would be in other weeks. And we know what Jamie Elliott did last week when he was allowed space, so it's going to be really interesting to see how Dimmer responds. Against a lesser opponent, Dudley is not better than Jamie Elliott, but also Freo have got some taller blokes that are going to be of concern as well. And fingers crossed that Bodie does do well. I am waiting and seeing on Max Ramsden, to be completely honest with you. Again, the depth chart just has him down the order, and I'm not saying that one game is going to determine whether he's good or not. Absolutely not in this context. Good to see him have the form that gives him a chance. I think it's as simple as that. But yeah, overall, of the 6 players, to be completely honest with you, like, one of them is the best 23 material, and 2 of them come out. Let's see what we do. Soldier in, soldier out, as Clarko used to say. And for the Dockers, McVee in, Sharp out, gives them a bit of extra drive. Does Judd, who moved from Melbourne to Freo in order to play a more freeing, rebounding half-back role, hasn't quite brought that form in, and we'll wait and see whether it does, of course, as he was brought in as support for Jordan Clark, one of the more damaging men on the field, particularly coming out of the back half. So fingers crossed we can shut Clarkey down, of course. But overall, a little bit of an upgrade for the Dockers, who did absolutely nothing wrong against the Dogs at Marvel. That was such a good performance, especially that last quarter. So my 3 keys here are going to be sacrificing some inside ball so we can stop the outside, defend transition, and then kick straight, for crying out loud. The Hawks are actually doing pretty well in defending possession overall, whether it is uncontested or contested. When it comes to contested, we actually concede the least amount of contested footy in the comp, 118.6, with the AFL average being 129.2, and we concede the 4th least amount of uncontested ball in the comp. The problem is that Freo's scoring chains are so well set up by their ball movement that we might just need to go, okay, maybe you can win the ball in the contest a little. If we can still beat you on the spread, pressure you in some situations, particularly between the arcs, we're going to be able to drive and rebound ourselves. Caleb Sarong is not in great form. Andy Brayshaw has been a much more defensively minded midfielder, probably the best two-way mid in the comp at the moment, and you would think he would go to Jai, whether Jai plays or not. At this point, he's named, but he could be a laid out. So that's going to be the trouble. They've still got the weaponry of young Bolton around the midfield, and they do their best work in an uncontested style of game. Young's got a little bit of baby bont about him, to be completely honest, and Shea Bolton right now is an absolute lock for All-Australian if he continues this form. So they're going to be 2 danger men to watch out for, and if we allow the ball to get to the outside and they get and go, Collingwood did reasonably well at times on transition last week, and they made us pay for it. Freo could do a lot worse, and that improvement is going to have to come if we're going to not get the draw and grab the 4 points. Now, when it came to defending transition, the Hawks actually did a lot better than I thought they did, but the converting into scores was still really high, so that whether that is a back 6 problem or it's a pressure further up the ground problem, I'm not sure. But the Pies only took it from defensive 50 to a score 7.5% of the time, with the AFL average being 18%. And we rank 3rd in the comp for conceding scores from defensive chains. That's 3rd best in the comp, I should say. Yet Freo are 8th in the competition from scoring from these chains. So overall, they're not the best transition team. They're good enough. You're in the top half of the competition, you're pretty good at something, but they're not going to be ultra damaging. So if we're able to limit that like we did against the Pies and just tighten up that last entry inside our defensive 50, the Pies were able to get us on multiple occasions, but if we're able to keep that down or at least halve what we were able to do, we're going to give ourselves a chance. The problem that you're probably thinking of is that Collingwood's dangerous forwards were like 1.5 on a good occasion. Whereas Freo have got Tracy, Amos, Bolton, Michael Frederick can pop up and do some things. Isaiah Dudley, Sam Swikowski, they've got some names. Hayden Young can even go forward as well. And for crying out loud, we need to kick straight. We are kicking at 51% a goal, not including scores that don't make it. Our opposition are kicking at 63% with scores not counted, with the shots that don't score not counted. So goals or points, they're going at 63%. I went all the way back to 1962, and that was when I stopped because I had to record and, I have a family. And I'm like, when was the last time we conceded 60% or the opposition kicked at 60%? Never. They haven't. Or if they have, it's before then. So if we are going to be able to stay in the game, if there's one that we just kind of need to kick straight, yeah, this would be the one against a further top 4 opposition. That would be nice, and if they could not kick them from their ass, would be even better. The problem is that Jai Amos is exactly the kind of guy that kicks like 5 goals for one weekend, and then he kicks 6 straight. That's exactly the kind of player he is. Josh Tracy's a dead-eyed dick in front of goal. Shea Bolton has struggled with inconsistency, but again, is he going to struggle against us? Are the footy gods going to be on our side? Who knows? That's out of our control. What's in our control? The way we kick, and ask any Hawthorn supporter that has been a problem. But the only time this year that the opposition have kicked more points than goals was the Bulldogs game. They kicked 8 goals, 16, and we smacked them. So, fingers crossed, their boots are not on, and ours are. And when it comes to the Dockers, one of the biggest underrated battles, I think, is actually going to be inside our forward 50. The Dockers are second in the competition for rebound 50 rate and second for defensive 50 ground ball gets. Again, if you are able to halve those contests or even win them, hello the Wizard, if you're listening, and Dylan Moore is going to need a bit of a rocket as well to get himself into form. That's only going to set up a really good chance for us. Freo's defense is interesting because they've always got hybrid guys down there. Kurt Warner, Corey Wagner being another one. They can play a little bit tall. They can play a little bit small. They've got decent enough speed. They've got good ball use. They're just going to be paints. And again, if we are able to set up forward 50 stoppage or anything like that, we are golden. But if we are going to concede a turnover inside our forward 50, or if we're going to kick some behinds, the way that they're able to manipulate the ball out is going to be, well, somewhat frightening because they're 5th in the competition from scoring from turnover and are 4th for scores per inside 50. So they're moving the ball really well and are able to find open targets. It's going to be quite rare, I feel, that the Hawks are going to be able to get sort of packs inside the defensive 50. So the onus is going to be on a defensive group that might be left on an island from time to time. I've got some confidence around some of our defenders, so that's always a good thing. That's why the Scrimshaw omission is a little bit strange to me, but clearly that means that Sicily is going to be playing on probably Amos, to be honest, to kind of get him up around the ball. So that's going to be an interesting watch, but at the end of the day, we're going up against an opposition that are at home and on paper are better than us. So this is going to be an upset if we're able to get the job done. I still think we can, but we also need to be aware that this is not a Freo team that just timidly rolls over in finals. This is a brand new season, a brand new day, a brand new contest, and one that we need to be on for. And I'm curious to see how we go at clearance. We're second in the comp for clearances around the ground, so stoppage clearances. The Dockers are 4th. With the quality of their midfield, that's pretty surprising. But again, it's what you do from clearance that's going to be key. A hack kick out to their halfback flankers is going to do us no purpose, which of course you guys know. And neither would it be for them if we're able to rush, their midfielders into field kicks. Brayshaw's not a great kick. He's a good one. He's not a great one. Caleb is definitely not a great one either, that being Sarong, of course. So maybe if we can get some hack kicks out there, set up structurally behind the ball. This is just one of those games that, a little bit like the Bulldogs last week, they were commendable. They really were, the Bulldogs. As soon as it turned into shootout mode, they were screwed. They were drawing dead. And I have a sick kind of feeling that we might be in the same boat. So when it comes to the danger players, I can't really think of any that are going to be ones I haven't really spoken about already. That entire midfield, Tracy and Amos, Jordan Clark. If I was going to nominate someone for like the Malcolm Roses or Ben Ronk, if we're being honest, because that came against us, weird, random BOG special kind of game. Doesn't have to be from a forward, but Sam Swikowski has got a pretty good record against us, to be completely honest with you, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if, again, we look at a guy like Kurt Warner or Corey Wagner, and a lot of people do the Conor McGregor meme of just who the fuck is that guy? And clearly I can't do the accent, but that would not surprise me in the slightest. What would is if we're able to let Pearce and Cox really get off and beat our tall forwards. I think the cleverness of Gunston, especially bouncing back from last week, and Lewis's frame, size, and agility is going to worry them a little bit. I would still think that a fully fit Mitch Lewis can give a Brennan Cox some problems. I don't know who the natural matchup for Gunston is. I'm not sure if Pearce is going to be able to chase him around the ground. That's going to be really interesting to see how we set up. But it's not going to be the quantity of entries. It's not going to be what we do when the ball hits the ground. For the love of God, it's going to be the quality of those entries. And if we don't set our forwards up for success, we're going to be coming back losers, potentially big losers, and that is not what we want. Not the first time that I've put Josh Battle in the spotlight, but Tom Barrass is probably going to get the Tracy matchup, which means that Battle is either going to get Voss or he is going to get Amos. All four of those stats that you can see on the screen are career highs, and coming from an All-Australian, that's really interesting. He actually has a way better player rating this year than he had last year. For whatever credence you want to give that is completely up to you. But I just feel like that Josh's ball-winning ability has been fine. His kicking has been tidy. I still feel like there's another level to go, and if you are to pull off what would be a really good upset and undoubtedly the win of the season, that back six are going to be absolutely key. Scrimshaw out, as we know. We've got the exposure of Bodie in there, which means that he and Barrass are going to have to stand up. Barrass is in arguably all-Australian form. The skipper's going to have to stand up as well, and I'll throw Joshy Battle in there. I was going to do your predictions as well, guys, but on my screen here, it won't load. The YouTube app just will not load, and I can't read what you guys have predicted. I'm so sorry that that's happened. I apologize. If I've got time in the editing process and it works, I'll put them up. You'll be able to probably see them right now, but I'm so sorry that I can't react to them. I don't know what they say at this point, but thank you very much for getting involved there. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will have the reaction probably at like midnight on Friday morning, because this is what I do. And then the player ratings on, what's the day? Friday night at some point. Cheapers. I'm going well. I really suck at ending videos. Goodbye.